All right, let's do it. Joining me now, Kash Patel. Welcome back to the Alec Show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me back, Alec.
Always an honor. And I thought of you right away, too, as I heard just recently. Now we're back to Russia again. We just heard from Merrick Garland. We're going to have this Russian interference setting the stage for another possible Russian putting Trump back into the White House. We'll break this whole thing down for me here. What's happening?
Well, look, they failed across the board on putting forward a candidate of substance. Then they did it again and failed again. So what do? They go back to the only playbook they know: lying, cheating, and stealing. They are the authors of the original Russiagate scam, where they illegally used American taxpayer dollars to unlawfully present information to a federal court and lie to a judge to illegally surveil a presidential candidate. And those folks at DOJ that started Russiagate back then, Lisa Monaco, John Carlin, are now back in positions of power, along with their rube at the FBI, Christopher Wray, who violated FISA 274,000 times in 1 year alone. They are back, and with a vengeance, because they have no plan to beat Donald Trump. So what are they going to do? They're going to run it. And MSNBC and the bozos in the morning are talking about it all over again. Russia's coming for you. The ironic thing is, I think, is it President Putin? President Putin came out and said he wants Kamala Harris to win. It's kind of a poetic justice of the sorts.
Yeah, and no doubt that Putin wants Kamala Harris to win. I just had Gordon Chang on last week talking about China. There's no doubt that Xi Jinping wants to see Kamala Harris win. They don't want to see Donald Trump getting in there and upsetting the apple cart on the sweet deals that they have. It just seems like it would be work against them if they had somebody like Trump who's unpredictable, who they don't know what to expect from this guy. It seems like they'd much rather have the status quo. Do you think it's the same for China as it is for Russia?
Yeah, I think China's flying below the radar. They're strategically, Xi Jinping's playing this one a little smarter than any other public-facing adversaries, right? He's kind of going behind the scenes and seeing how he can plot against Taiwan and ultimately acquire Taiwan, which is his goal. And he wants to figure out a way that the CCP can go again and dominate the global scene again, because they're, thanks to Donald Trump, have been on the decline. But unfortunately, no thanks to Harris and Biden, they've seen a steady rise in their cyber capabilities and CCP's expansion across the world stage again, in working with our adversaries in or Iran and helping them procure weapons of mass destruction and elements to build them, and also trading with them, including oil and other materials that they were embargoed from ever doing. Because what did Biden and Harris say? Oh, Iran, we don't care about you. You can be the #1 sponsor of terror. We're still going to give you $7 billion and allow you to start World War III in Israel. And the CCP is smartly taking advantage of all of it.
Yeah, and it seems like every time you trip over a chair at the DNC, you fall onto a Chinese spy, right? They just seem to be littered all over the Democrat Party. But also, too, you mentioned there Christopher Wray, the corrupted guy that he is. The FBI, another black guy for the FBI. We just had this school shooting in Georgia that took place. This is a kid on the FBI radar for over a year. They know this kid is a threat. They know he's a danger. They do nothing. He slips through the cracks. Now you have kids dead, teachers dead, and another one of these shootings that could have been prevented easily if the FBI is on top of their game.
Look, when you have an American citizen alone, myself, who has taken on Christopher Wray more times than Congress, led by a Republican majority, that tells you the state of affairs. I've sued Christopher Wray in the FBI in federal court, and we are not stopping, because this type of conduct from the world's top cop is baby gap law enforcement at its finest. This guy, Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, just yesterday put out a notice to those causing destruction against America. He said, quote, knock it off. Knock it off. That's how you're going to defend American law enforcement and protect the American people? This guy is a joke. And whoever is running his communications department is even a worse leader and communicator than Christopher Wray ever is. What a stooge of the deep state and an apparatchik of these government gangsters. And remember, Christopher Wray was the one who actually permitted the government gangster Russiagate collusion hoax to continue. And so what stings the most, and sting's not even the right word, what is the most and largest tragedy of this entire situation? 4 people are dead, students and teachers, beloved football coaches. And this guy, the shooter, was on the FBI radar for a year. maybe, just maybe, if the FBI focused on rolling up terrorists at the border and protecting communities from known shooters, instead of focusing on DEI, white rage, and knock it off, we might actually have some protective results in our communities.
Yeah, well said, Cash. Yeah, no problem going in and raiding the house of a old lady that walked through the Capitol building on January 6th. But when it comes to this, asleep at the wheel. And again, you talk about embarrassment and a stooge. This Trump assassination attempt that the media now has seemed to have had amnesia that it ever occurred. Now, Homeland Security was the people that were there, not Secret Service people. They're saying there were these Homeland Security agents that only had a 2-hour webinar. These people weren't even trained like this. Every single layer of the onion that gets peeled off of this thing stinks worse than the last one. Josh Hawley had these whistleblowers come forward saying these weren't even the real guys. These weren't even Secret Service agents. So this whole thing, it just seems, the more you read into it, the more it seems like Trump was completely set up and this was a failure at every level here. What's your take on the latest with this?
Well, this highlights everything that's wrong with Washington, D.C. When you have a Republican majority in Congress and it takes them over a month to stand up a committee to investigate the assassination attempt of a president of the United States, and then they say, we'll get back to you, but we're in recess for another month after this month. So they're not even coming back into session until next week. So 60 some days after the assassination attempt, they might have their first meeting, or they went to the crime scene last week. Who cares? America expects you to deliver. Why are brave whistleblowers coming forward when you, Congress, have oversight of these departments and agencies to get us the damn documents? Where are the subpoenas? If you want to know what's actually going on with this investigation, my suggestion is you follow the warriors in Congress like Corey Mills and Eli Crane, who are doing their own investigation and actually putting out information, and Senator Josh Hawley, who's getting whistleblowers in, because they will accomplish more than these other guys ever will. And I've offered my services voluntarily to anyone in Congress who needs it to run an investigation. Might know a thing or two about that. And I'm proud to be working with Corey and Eli and these other folks. But it's like, now it's September 5th and the world is like, what? President Trump got shot? When did that happen? Because the mainstream media drove right over it.
Yep. Yeah,
And
you didn't see. Yeah, you're right. And you didn't see any kind of like specials on ABC or CNN or anything dedicated to this whole thing. They just completely whitewashed it. It's gone. You don't even hear about it. And the fact that they didn't put Corey Mills and Eli Crane on this committee to investigate it, it's almost as if like they don't want to uncover the truth. Why would you got these guys, former Navy SEAL sniper, you got a combat veteran, Corey Mills. Why would you not utilize these guys and put them on the committee to investigate this? Almost seems like you don't want to get to the bottom of it.
This is Congress at its finest, feigning an interest in accountability. They'll never actually pull the levers because no one over there has the gumption, or most of them don't. Some of them, like Corey and Eli, do, and a few others. But no one actually wants to issue the subpoenas and enforce them. Where's the subpoenas against the Secret Service, the Department of Homeland Security? Where are all the emails and communications where the Secret Service director lied to the world about President Trump's team requesting more protective service detail around the president? And now we know it's a lie, and 2 of them have come in and lied to Congress, which is a federal crime, by the way. No big deal. But apparently, if you ignore a subpoena and you're a Republican, then you get sent to jail unlawfully like Steve Bannon. But when there's an actual violation of a congressional subpoena and violating the oath of office by lying under oath, Republicans are just like, whatever, we'll go on summer break. It's a joke, and I'm offended that we are in the majority right now and behaving in this way because the American people deserve better. So, we have your show, and we're going to keep pounding the pavement to get answers.
It's ridiculous. And now we're only 13 days away here, Cash, from September 18th and the sentencing of Donald Trump. Now, I know that they just put the letter out to Juan Merchan that he has to appear before the Judiciary Committee on the 13th. Now he's supposed to be showing up. So that's prior to this sentencing. I don't know why they waited until the week of the actual sentencing to bring this guy into the court. We know about the corruption with his daughter raising money for the campaign for Joe Biden, the whole bit. But why wait till the week of the freaking sentencing to bring this guy in? What do you think is going to happen too if you put your futuristic goggles on there? Do they put Donald Trump in prison? I mean, they've been trying so hard to do this. They're right at the doorstep. How do you see this playing out?
Well, one, that judge is never going to appear before Congress because he's going to have the Republicans bend the knee yet again to the overpowering deep state machine and allow the disinformation and 2-tier system of justice to continue. Another shocking embarrassment that will occur with the Republican majority. And 2, what I think will happen is, well, 1, President Trump should never have been convicted of these bogus crimes. But the war machine of the two-tier system of justice had its day in New York. And so now, if President Trump is sentenced to even a single day in jail, I think the American constitutional republic won't stand for it and will show for him in droves at the election, even more so than they would have if he hadn't been. I don't know what this judge is going to do. He might issue some form of suspended sentence where he says you have to report to jail for an X amount of time, but we'll wait till after the election. I don't know that there's a good answer on this one for this judge at all, because his side probably doesn't even want him to sentence Donald Trump to jail, because you are literally imprisoning your political opponent. I didn't know we were back in Venezuela or other such third world countries in Africa that do that. But apparently in 2024 America, New York and DOJ are fine doing it.
While they're telling you that Donald Trump is a dictator, Donald Trump's going to be a dictator. He gets in there. Meanwhile, we're going to put him in jail so he can't be a dictator in the name of democracy. So this whole thing, but it just seems like, Cash, I mean, they've tried so hard to get to this point, and they're right there. It's hard to believe they're going to give up that opportunity to actually get that picture of him in jail is what they want. And I think it would do even more damage to them than the mugshot did. So it'll be interesting to see. Last topic I want to hit on before I talk about your book there, Zuckerberg. He apologized or somewhat apologized for getting involved in, hiding the laptop store. He really didn't mention any of this by name, but, he admits that he was involved in covering up and stopping information from flowing on Facebook freely. We call it election interference. Do you see him now staying away from this, or is Facebook, Meta, this whole thing, are we still going to see them censoring stuff from the one side like they did in 2020?
Zuckerberg is a fraud, pretending to care about American democracy and the election. This guy spent $400 million last election cycle, and I don't care what he says, he is going to spend money somehow, some way in this election cycle. And let's put that aside. He owns one of the largest social media companies on earth in Facebook, Meta, and Instagram. I didn't hear the CEO and owner, Mark Zuckerberg, come out and say, I guarantee you my companies will not participate in censorship at the behest of the FBI or anyone else in the federal government, like we did in the last two elections, like we did with Hunter Biden's laptop, like we did with the 51 Intel letter. He could have said that, but he didn't, because he wants it to happen. And as a sort of proactive, preemptive move to say, oh, I told you so, he came out to the media and said, my bad, I'm sorry. But it doesn't matter to these guys, because they're going to go past November 5th. And if they get their way and Harris is awarded the victory, they're just going to be like, nothing to see here. And if Donald Trump wins, they'll come back and say, see, our companies tried to comply. But it's BS. And Zuckerberg is the biggest fraud in big business.
Yeah, really well said, Cash. You smashed that one. I know now you got the trilogy is complete here. You got the Plot Against the King 3. There it is. Brave books, man. I love Brave books. It's one of the best series for any parent out there to get their kids hooked on. And you got the three-peat. So what do you got here? How do you finish it out?
Well, you can't have a trilogy talking about King Donald without a book called The Return of the King. And that's what we got here. We have King Donald, who goes on and takes on the Dragon of Jalapenos, the DOJ, in the medieval times, chasing around Kamala and Sleepy Joe Biden and so many other fun characters. Yes, court jester Adam Schiff is back in the pages of this glorious book. And look, it's a fun way for kids and adults together to put together everything you and I have been talking about on a simple level, to say to our children, hey, people have been lied to by authoritative figures, and we've caught them. And when you catch them, there's consequences for those actions, but sometimes the people get away with it. And in order to fix the realm, we have to elect the right leader. And the right leader is Donald Trump. I'm sure the New York Times and CNN are going to excoriate me for pushing conspiracy theories with a children's fiction book. Wall Street Journal did that too, by the way, which is hilarious. I didn't know they used children's fiction to substantiate reporting. But go to theplotaagainsttheking.com and buy your trilogy. We're doing signed copies, and we're doing gold edition copies, and we're doing fight copies. So plotagainsttheking.com. I appreciate you letting me talk about Plot Against the King.
Awesome. Definitely. I got the link down there in the description below. I know they were going after Anna Paulina Luna when I had her on talking about her Brave Book series there too. But I'm telling you, I love Trent Talbot, what he does over there with the Brave Book series. It's the best. I always recommend it to parents. Great to have in the toolbox for your kids. Also, again, I got the link down there, Government Gangsters. There's a reason why this book sold like hotcakes. So Kash Patel, always an honor. You're always gracious with your time. Every time I ask you to come on, you do so. I really do appreciate that. So thanks for coming back on the Alec Show.
Hey. Thanks for having the courage to put out the truth. We appreciate it.
God bless you.